Hello and welcome to Saki Tech. So this is tutorial number 15 and we're going to be talking about arrays as function parameters. So we talked about arrays in our previous module. You have to go study that module if you want to understand what's going on here. So let's start with declaring and initializing two arrays, and then we're going to create a function to do stuff to the array, and we'll see how it works. So let's first and foremost declare the array. So integer array 1, in fact let's do it this way, array 1, and let's have 3 elements for this array, and let's initialize them to 5, 10, and 15 respectively. And let's do another array, array 2, okay, and let's have 4 elements in this array, and let's initialize this to 20, 25, 30, 35. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function that prints the contents of an array on the screen. So let's go down, and if you remember how we did functions, you'll remember this. The type of this function is void, so it doesn't return anything. And then the name of the function is print array. Okay, now how do we send arrays down to functions as parameters? If you also remember, there's 2 ways to send a regular variable into an array. You can send a variable by value or by reference. When you send it by value, all you send down is the value. When you send it down by reference, you ship out the actual variable to the external function. The function makes modifications to the variable and ships it back to your main function, which is right here. Okay? So when you send an array down to a function, so the function can work on it, it always goes by reference. You cannot send an array to a function as value. It has to go down as reference, period. And how do you do that? So you determine the type of the array that is coming in. We're bringing in an integer array, and then just give it any name. Array holder. Okay, so this is going to be an array holder. And always remember the square brackets. This is the basic syntax to send down an array to a function. The type of the array, any name you want to give the array, and the brackets. These brackets going to be empty. All this is telling the function is that we are sending down an array. Expect an array. That's all it is. Nothing in the brackets. The next thing is, many times we want to send the size of the array down to the function, because the function is going to be performing some tasks on the array. The function better know what is the size of the array. So another number, integer size of array. So in this case, we're going to print the contents of array 1 and array 2 on the screen. All we have to do is cout. Actually, what we have to do is we have to create a loop. So we're going to create a loop for integer index is assigned to 0, okay, semicolon, while index is less than size of array, okay, index needs to be incremented. And then we're going to put this under another 2 curly braces, and here we're going to do the printing function. Cout array holder index. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a space. This, when you put an actual space between 2 quotation marks, that's the real space on a console output. Okay, so put this right here. So what happens here is, let's talk about this real quick. In fact, let's do a function definition first. We have a function definition. We have to put a function prototype to the top. Make sure to put the semicolon right there. Remember, when you're doing a functions, if you put the function definition below the main function, then you have to go up and you have to put a function prototype above the main function. Okay? So let's clarify this. Start main. Let's do a end main. So this is clear to us. Okay. Lines right here. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a function call. When you're calling a function from the main function, it's called a function call. I'm going to call the print array function. I'm going to send array1, okay? And I'm going to send the number 3, which is the size of array1. And let's save and run this program. And let's make sure there's no errors. Okay, so let's do a build. So there is an error at the bottom here. It says array2 has been unused, which is okay. And then size of array was not declared in this scope. What was the mistake? So here it's saying this was not declared in this scope. When it says this scope, it's meaning the scope of this function. And that's because I mistyped it. This is a capital O. Remember, C++ is a case-sensitive language. So now let's do another build and run. Perfect. We have 0 errors, 1 warning, and the warning is that we haven't used this yet, which is fine. Let's run this program. Build and run. And if you look at the output carefully, we'll see the contents of array1 being printed on the screen. 5, 10, 15. Let's take a look at what happened here. And also understand the syntax of sending an array down to a function. So when you're defining the function, this is the syntax of how you put an array. You let the function know that an array is coming down. You give the type of the array that's coming down. You give the name of the array that's coming down. And you also put the brackets, the square brackets, so that the function knows this is in fact an array. And then in this case, we had to create a special function where we sent on the size of that array. Okay? And the main function, we declared an array with 3 elements. We initialized the 3 elements to 5, 10, and 15 respectively. So array 1 with the index 0 is 5. Array 1 with the index 1 is 10. And array 1 with the index 2 is 15. Okay? And then let's ignore this for a minute. Now what we did here was we did a function call. We called the function print array and we send our array down to that function. When you're sending an array to a function, all you have to do is send the name of the array. You do not have to put the square brackets here. You don't need those. You just send down the name of the array. And then you send the size of the array so the function knows the size of the array. If I put it 20, 30 here, that would have given me some kind of error. So we're not going to do that. We knew the size was 3. That's what we're sending down to the function. Now let's just put let's keep this clean a little bit. So let's put a new line right here. And let's call print array again. This time we're going to send array 2 down to the function. And what is the size of array 2? It's 4. Okay, semicolon, and we're going to do a save file, build, and run. And if you look at the output carefully, the first one is array 1 on the first line, second line is array 2, 20, 25, 30, 35. Okay, this is how simple it is to send arrays down to a function. Just remember the syntax. Everything else is the same. We already talked about functions in a previous module. So I'm not teaching you functions here. I'm just teaching you how you send an array down to a function. This is it. Array type, array name, square brackets. This tells the function that an array is about to come down. And the only other thing I want you guys to remember is that when you send an array down to a function, it is always passed by reference. Always. Okay? So if we were actually modifying the contents of, let's say, array 1, okay, when the array 1 was being processed in the print array function, and we went back here to the main function after we were done, the values would have changed for each element in the array because we sent the array down as a reference. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to my channel for more videos to come, and click the like button if you like this video. Thank you again for watching. Have a good day.